What's up YouTube, Saf here on Super Saf TV, and in this video we're going to be looking at the key differences between the iPhone 8 Plus and the iPhone 10. So why are we doing this comparison? Well, both of these are going to be up for pre-order soon, and hopefully this video will give you a better idea of which one to go for. So let's start off with the sizes. The iPhone 8 Plus is quite a bit larger compared to the iPhone 10. 14.8mm in terms of the height, 7.2mm in terms of the width, and it's just slightly thinner, 0.2mm. Also weighs 28 grams more. Now this is quite interesting because the iPhone 10 actually has a 5.8-inch display compared to the 5.5-inch display of the iPhone 8 Plus. Now the reason for this is the minimal bezels that we have on the iPhone 10. The iPhone 8 Plus still has those huge bezels on the top and bottom like we have from the iPhone 6, 6S as well as the 7. So the front design really hasn't changed much, and we still do have these really big bezels. The iPhone 10 has finally come to the future now, and we have smaller bezels like we have on many other of the competitor devices. Now we've got different technologies for the displays as well. We've got OLED on the iPhone 10. On the iPhone 8 Plus we've still got LCD. So you'll be able to tell that there is a big difference in terms of the colors. The blacks will be much deeper on the iPhone 10. And in terms of contrast ratio, the iPhone 8 Plus has a 1300:1 contrast ratio. The iPhone 10 has a 1,000,000:1 contrast ratio. So once again, this just goes to show how much better the display is on the iPhone 10. Now both devices do still have 3D touch, so you can push down harder and get more options and things. But because you don't have the home button on the iPhone 10, you have to swipe up from the home button area, and that will take you home, and that's also used for multitasking. So this may take a little bit of time to get used to, but I'm sure it's a compromise that a lot of you won't mind because of that display. Now this display is also called a Super Retina display, and that's because of the resolution. 2436 by 1125, that's roughly about 458 ppi pixel density. Now comparing that to the iPhone 8 Plus, you've still just got 1080p, so that's 1920 by 1080, around 401 ppi pixel density. So details will be sharper on the iPhone 10, and overall a better viewing experience here on the iPhone 10. Now when it comes to the build, both devices have a similar build. We've got a metal frame with glass panels on the front and back. Now there's a reason for the glass panels, which is wireless charging. We'll be talking about that a little bit later. But we still do have IP67 water and dust resistance, so this is great. You're not going to have a problem getting a bit of a splash on either of these. In terms of the colors, the iPhone 8 Plus actually has an additional color option, gold. This is something that's not available on the iPhone 10, not on release anyway. Maybe this is something that we might be seeing a little bit later on. In terms of the internals, very similar internals. We've got the Apple A11 Bionic chip, and this is supposed to be very fast and also supports augmented reality. There's been a big push on augmented reality on the new iPhones. We'll have to test these out and see if there is any performance difference between these two when both are officially released. In terms of storage options, you've got the same 64 or 256 GB options. So there's just the two options available this time. Previously we used to have 32, 128 and 256. This time there is just 64 and 256 gigabytes, both at different prices, which we'll look at a little bit later. Now let's move on to the cameras. We've got dual 12 megapixel cameras on both devices. There's a wide angle as well as a telephoto, but we do have some differences between these two. Firstly, the iPhone 10 has a vertical camera. We've got horizontal camera set up on the iPhone 8 Plus. I'm not sure if that's going to make a difference. What is going to make a difference is that we've got dual optical image stabilization on the iPhone 10. On the iPhone 8 Plus, it is just the wide angle camera that has optical image stabilization. We've got an f1.8 aperture on the wide angle lenses on both devices. But for the telephoto, we've got 2.8 on the 8 Plus. And on the 10 we've actually got 2.4, so this should be better for low light images. Now because of the additional cameras that we have on these devices, both of them are going to give you 2x optical zoom, which is great, but you're also going to get the portrait mode, so that's where you get the blurry background. This actually works really well on my iPhone 7 Plus, and it's nice to see this carried over here. We also, however, have portrait lighting. This is something available on both devices, and this is where you can change the lighting sort of effect on the images that you take in portrait mode. And this is something that you can also do after the fact. This is currently going to be in beta, but then it's going to roll out. I'm really looking forward to checking this out. Now, in terms of video, both of these do support 4K at up to 60 frames a second, which is so awesome. I believe these are the first devices that support 4K at 60 frames a second for smartphones, but if not, they are definitely one of the first. And you've also got 1080p at 240 frames a second, so this just goes to show the capabilities of that A11 Bionic processor, which is really going to give you some powerful internals and allow you to take a video at these rates. Now, for the front-facing cameras, both have a 7 megapixel camera with an f2.2 aperture. Now, on the iPhone 10, however, because you do have additional sensors at the front, this is going to mean that you're going to be able to have a portrait mode from the selfie camera as well as the portrait lighting mode. So these are things that are not going to be available from the front-facing camera on the iPhone 8 Plus. In terms of the operating systems, both of them have iOS 11. One great thing about Apple is that updates are going to be rolled out to both devices as and when they come. Now, let's talk about some of the additional features that both devices have. So firstly, Touch ID is on the iPhone 8 Plus. This works similarly to what we've had in the past. It is at the front and the bottom bezel. And in my experience, Touch ID works really well. Very convenient there at the front in the middle. Now, this is something that's not available anymore on the iPhone 10, and it looks like the reason for this is because there isn't any space for a fingerprint scanner, and Apple couldn't manage to have it embedded within the display. Early rumors were that they were trying to do this, but they couldn't do it. So we have Face ID. Now, this is an advanced form of 3D facial recognition, which is supposed to be very secure, although it did fail for the presentation that they had on the keynote. But anyway, it does look pretty secure, and this is supposed to be an alternative to Touch ID. Now, which one of these is going to be more convenient? In my opinion, I'm thinking that Touch ID might just be a little bit more convenient because you're not going to have to hold it to your face. But we will do a test and see which one of these works better. Now, both devices have stereo speakers, so an earpiece as well as a bottom-facing speaker. So sound department should be good on both of these, but neither have a 3.5mm headphone jack. This is something that we lost on the iPhone 7s, and it's not something that we're going to be seeing back on the iPhones. You will get a dongle out of the box for both of these, but it can be inconvenient for a lot of people. Just something to bear in mind. Now, moving on to the batteries, unfortunately, we don't know the exact sizes of the batteries as yet because Apple has not revealed this. We're going to have to wait till somebody actually pops these open to check the exact size of the batteries. Now, it's going to be interesting to see how will these perform because with the iPhone 10, you do have the Super Retina display, which is going to be pushing out more pixels. So it'll be interesting to see if that actually does perform better than the iPhone 8 Plus. So we'll see when we have the devices in hand. But one cool thing is that both devices do support wireless charging now because of the glass back. This is the first time we've got wireless charging on the iPhones, and it's definitely nice to see. Both devices also support fast charging. This is something that Apple didn't actually mention, but was quietly noted in their presentation slides. So this is much awaited, and it's great that we finally got it. Now, finally looking at the prices. So with the iPhone 8 Plus, it's actually more than what you would have paid last year. So it's $799 or £799 as well. So the UK version isn't going to be any lower. Usually this is the case because of conversion rates, and although the British pound has dropped slightly in value after Brexit, it's not dropped that much. The price should still be less for pounds compared to dollars. Unfortunately, this is not the case. Now, for the 64GB version of the iPhone 10, you're going to be paying $999 or £999. This was rumored for a long time that we're going to be spending $1,000 on the new iPhone. And it is the case, so you're going to be paying $200 more for the iPhone 10 compared to the iPhone 8 Plus. So that is definitely a lot of money. In terms of pre-order dates, the iPhone 8 Plus is going to be available for pre-order from the 15th of September, and it's going to be releasing on the 22nd of September. With the iPhone 10, that's going to be coming out quite a bit later, so pre-orders go live on the 27th of October, and the device is going to be available from the 3rd of November. So guys, that is the iPhone 8 Plus versus the iPhone 10. What do you guys think of these devices? Obviously the iPhone 10 is the better device overall, especially because of that display and a few other features, but it is primarily the display, let's be honest. That near bezel-less design is what you're going to be paying the additional money for. Do you think it's worth it? Definitely let me know in the comments below. Hopefully this video helped you sum up the differences between these two devices. If it did help, then please do hit that thumbs up button for me. It really does help me out. And if you haven't already, then be sure to subscribe and switch your notifications. I'm going to have lots more content with both devices as soon as they are out and in hand. Thanks for watching. This is Saf on Super Saf TV, and I'll see you next time.